Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. You know, guys, I was listening to Mick Garris's podcast. You know, I have a lot of respect for Mick Garris.
Yes.
And he had an episode where they did a 40th anniversary retrospective of The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing.
I missed that.
Now, if you listen to our show, you know that we did an episode like that too,
Sure.
right? So I was very interested. I was very interested to see what he had to say about this because there's a tie. He was actually on set for a couple of days, and he did the behind-the-scenes making-of documentary of it.
Shit.
Jeez.
You know that I am my worst critic.
Mhm.
Our episode was way better than their episode.
Oh, wow.
Way better. We had so much more interesting information.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's tough.
Gauntlet throw.
That's right. Hey, listen, if you don't believe me, go back and listen to our episode, listen to Mick Garris's episode, and then call 253-237-4266 and say, Kelly, you were right.
I'm
Is he
sure the lines are flooding right now. Everybody, oh, guess what, Kelly?
You were right.
You were right.
I saw some stuff on TV.
Oh, TV.
I'm going to do an animation list as my stuff to talk about.
Uh-huh.
So
Nice.
the first thing I saw was Japanese Tales of the Macabre,
Oh.
Junji Ito's cartoon on Netflix.
Oh, how was it?
Really?
Not very good.
Oh, no.
I was primed to really love this.
Yeah.
There were a couple that I thought captured the mood of his original comics, but otherwise, I don't know. There was something, his art style does not translate well to animation.
Hmm.
Oh, so they matched the.
Yeah, it looks
Original?
it
Oh,
looks
okay.
like his actual illustrations, and I don't know. I was just very bummed when I watched it. So you guys haven't seen any of it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a 10-part thing on Netflix.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
So
Wow.
I don't know. I'm about 6 episodes into it, and I liked one of them so far, and it was one that I really loved from the comics.
Well, once I find my TV and plug it in, I'll let you know.
Still no TV. How are you watching anything?
I have my ways.
My neighbors have a really big
That's
window. Oh, wait. There's computers and tablets and phones.
Well, I wish I could throw in, an animation to follow up with that, but I have not seen any. Instead, I did see Missing, which is the follow-up film from the guy who did Searching.
Oh, I read about that. I didn't realize it was out.
Yeah.
How's it stand up?
It was a lot of fun.
Good.
I had a good time with it. I might have liked Searching a little more, but I think that Missing, it was pretty delightful, I felt.
Well, Searching had the advantage of, it was the first one
First
to really
one.
fully do what it did.
Yeah.
And it did it really well.
Yeah, and it doesn't quite stick to it in the same way that did. I think they were kind of like, let's play with this format just a tiny bit.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it a gimmick like that, or
For the most, I mean, yes and no. It's all seen through this girl's laptop screen, but at various points you kind of it sort of becomes like, okay, now am I looking at a phone screen or a laptop screen, or like it feels like it's switching whose screen you're looking at now and
Oh,
again.
weird.
and it's not a direct sequel?
No,
Okay.
no, it's just in a similar vein. It has feels like it's in the universe
Ah.
of, yeah,
The
but
extended Searching universe.
100%. I'm hoping that like the guy who did this, or guys who did this, go out and try something really different at some point. But in the meantime, I don't care. I'm enjoying it. It's kind of pulpy, dumb fun to an extent.
Yeah, okay.
His new movie just got announced. It's called Looking.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Finding? Ooh, the conclusion.
There's got to be some way that could be worked. So I returned to the realm of Walter Hill this last week with Extreme Prejudice.
Oh, God, I love this movie. Is this available on something now?
Vestron Video now has, I was saying last episode, an explosion of boutique things. I don't remember if it's themselves, but Vestron's back and they're releasing their stuff, and very, very well remastered with some nice extras, and not one of Walter Hill's best, but
How dare you?
But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just has some weird character strangeness but Jesus, that cast.
What
man.
a cast.
Every time somebody shows up, it's, oh, why is that guy? But name a late 70s, early 80s cool ass actor, you're probably going to be in this film. But
Clancy shows up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Clancy
a big part
Brown.
of it. He's one of the main guys.
Right.
And to give you a quick rundown, if you like. Here.
Yeah. Remind me exactly who's in this.
And so, of course, we've got Nick Nolte as the leader,
Mm-hmm.
Powers Booth, Michael Ironside, Rip Torn, Clancy Brown, William Forsythe, Larry B. Scott. He's the guy who makes noises.
Oh,
my
God.
gosh.
Academy movies. And Matt Mulhern was probably the other guy. And then a bunch of other like background tough guys or occasionally show up of people that aren't necessarily lead speakers, but you've seen in the background of tons of films.
I saw this in the theater, and I
That would be
remember just
fun.
fucking loving it. And recently watched it again, maybe 4 years ago, and I was struck by how fucking handsome Nick Nolte is.
The blue eyes are like, who is this
I know.
man?
I was like, wow, I don't remember him being handsome.
I cannot imagine in my wildest dreams a handsome Nick Nolte.
It's got to be the cowboy hat, because I think he wears it the whole time, and it's got Mario Cachito Alonso's in it as well.
Yeah.
And it's still an entertaining film. There's no doubt.
She's the sister of Powers Booth, right? Is that how it...
No, she's the ex.
Oh, she's the ex. Okay.
Nick Nolte's dating Powers Booth's ex.
Right. And he's a sheriff, and Powers Booth is the crime lord.
Yeah.
Of course you'd date his ex.
We were friends when we were young.
Right. Oh, God, yeah.
I went one way. You went the other.
Powers Booth was super handsome in that movie too. Wasn't he in like
the
a
all
white suit
thing? Yeah. They knew what to do when the movie has issues, but if you go into it going Walter Hill being ridiculous, you're nailing it. I read or heard an interview. Somebody was talking about 48 Hours, which made me go, oh, I want to watch Extreme Prejudice because I hadn't seen that one maybe ever. Oh. And so I'm like, I know I've seen 48 Hours. I know how good that is. But he's talking about Walter Hill is one of the best directors for portraying character in violence. And he is not wrong. That is so accurate because he was using the scene in 48 Hours where Eddie Murphy busts up the redneck bar. Mm-hmm. And he said, there's words and stuff here, but the violence that's going on is showing you far more of the character than what he's saying. Extreme Prejudice has that. Warriors has that. And it's such a neat, he's just one of my favorite directors. He's just too damn good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not anymore. His last couple have been real stinkers.
Yeah. It's been a few years since he was as good as he can be.
Well, very cool. Continuing with my animation gripes. I made it about 3 episodes into Velma.
Oh, you made it 3, man. I made it 1.
At first I was kind of like, I'm not sure what everybody's complaining about. This is kind of fun. And then it just get really, really dumb, fairly offensive.
Oh,
and I think what the real backlash is that they thought, the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Yeah.
That is so much fun.
Oh, so good.
Female empowerment and filthy, so filthy.
Yeah.
But everything there kind of ties back to the characters that they're making fun of. Yeah. So it makes sense that Bruce Wayne is completely insane over the loss of his parents because that's kind of how he is in the comics anyway. They just took it to 11. And in Velma, they just decided to change everybody's character and there's nothing to make fun of anymore.
Yeah. And these are a group of people that are supposed to like each other so much they can travel around the country in a van. There may be two of the characters that could hang out for an evening and put up with each other, but the rest there's no way they're hanging out ever.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Oh,
aren't
man.
we supposed to like all of them, even if we think they're kind of dorky and stupid or silly? No.
Also, I thought that, I'm like, okay, I'll watch a filthy animated
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo franchise thing. No Scoob. No
What?
Scoob in the series.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did they just not get the rights for Scooby?
I'm sure that can't be it. I think they own all of that stuff.
Maybe they
don't
just thought, well, he'd be too old. We can't have him be in the movie yet. Yeah, we'll bring him in season 2 as a puppy or some dumb shit like that.
I don't know. I was just bummed. I wanted to like it.
Yeah, the people coming out that I read are going, oh my God, there's like cockroaches screwing in the first 2 minutes. I'm going, well, that's not a big deal.
I actually thought it was funny.
Yeah, that was really weird. So it's like, what? Yeah, no.
Interesting. Yeah, I avoided it because the hype, anger hype was strong, and I was like, maybe I won't waste my time.
Yeah, I was like, I know I'm going to end up liking this based on what they're all complaining about.
Hmm.
But I
Nope.
I just had different issues with it instead.
Well, I've been meaning for a while to see a film and finally got to watch it, which is Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I have.
I haven't.
Oh, okay. All right. Kelly, you would hate this movie. It is,
Toss that out there. Yeah, I think she's right.
yeah, it is a mix of people talking and being, it's a very style movie. It's very based on a specific kind of feel and style of what is cool with, like, I don't know what generation it would be now, Z or
Yeah, UBC.
yeah, Gen Zers. Like, it feels like it's trying to synthesize that down. And then it's also like a break-in movie kind of thing. So
Oh, you mean like a home invasion?
yeah, like it
Oh,
has
okay.
like a lot of that feel to it.
Oh, well, I thought it was a comedy.
It's got comedic
I
moments
think on a
in
second
it.
viewing, it would be much more of a comedy.
Yeah, because the first viewing, like, you're spending a lot of time wondering, like, who's going to die and who's killing people. And there's a big hurricane outside, so everyone's trapped
Okay.
while people are dying. So,
And it has that recent thing a lot of movies seem to be doing where there's really nobody you like in this. They're all,
yeah.
I mean, there's moments and every once in a while a character's kind of goes like, okay, this is the one they're, nope, now they're being a dick again. So it's
Yeah.
just like,
It's tough. It's really tough to find somebody to like. I thought it was watchable. I thought,
yeah.
there wasn't anything in it that I was like, this sucks. Like, it was an interesting film, but it feels like a slice of a moment in time.
Yeah.
So,
I was watching going, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. And I read something, the brilliant Tony K wrote about it. I'm going, while I was watching it, going, oh, should I really continue? And I'm like, okay, I'll keep continuing. And I think he was right. I think he nailed what makes this movie work. The problem is commenting on it wipes the whole film away.
yeah.
So I'll just leave
so
it at that.
Yeah, it's one of those that's better to come in cold, as cold as you can be. The trailer gives you no true sense of the actual film. It
Yeah,
takes
that's
the
true.
most irritating, frustrating seconds of anything anyone says and just smashes them together. It does not feel like that when you're watching the film.
Interesting. Eric, could you please not suck Tony's dick while I'm sitting right here in front of you?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, the brilliant Tony
Well, last
K.
time you liked watching, so I thought it'd be all right.
Jeez, Louise.
Anyway,
Ugh.
speaking of, now there's nothing to do with this film I'm going to talk about. I finally watched Megan.
Oh, you finally watched Megan.
Yeah.
Regan?
What do you think?
Watched that with Dean and I watched that one. Going, I think she's going to be fine watching this one. Not like the Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And she did. She thought it was a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun. It's really good. It's kind of ridiculous and kind of terrifying, especially last week when we were talking about the AI things, or I don't know if that was on air.
Yeah.
It might have been off air, but the whole idea of what they're presenting is kind of creepy, but in the movie, it's a lot of fun.
I was trying to kind of figure out why I liked it so much more, even than the Chucky
Yeah.
stuff, and I liked it because Megan, she comes to her decisions on how she's going to hurt somebody honestly.
Oh,
She's not evil so much as she's
Right.
going to protect her friend, right?
Yeah.
And I really liked that. I was like, that is the way you should have done this.
I think there's a cool, weird realism thing in there where there's a lot of pressure in the tech industry to come up with the coolest shit.
Right.
And maybe you don't always have time to check all the code. Maybe
Well,
you just fucking stick it out there and you're like, oh shit, it works. I guess we're good to go. And then later you'll do a patch note and it'll be fine. But what if it was just a very bad code that needed to be inserted? Like there's some cool, I don't know, there's a lot of cool little logic things about it.
Yeah, it's like the article I read this week about they're working to bring back the dodo.
Yeah.
Genetically
Oh my
recreate the
gosh.
dodo.
And the woolly mammoth.
It's like, haven't you guys seen Jurassic Park?
I will take the woolly mammoth. We should definitely bring that back.
I can't wait for woolly mammoth burgers.
That's right.
If it means the woolly mammoth comes back, just like with the buffalo, then I'll put up with it. But
But anyways, it's a fun. I'll check out a sequel for that one.
I was kind of like, oh boy, of course there's going to be a
Well,
sequel.
yeah.
It was so popular, but
And
man, it'd be
Blumhouse.
nice to just have these great movies that aren't
made a zillion times.
squeezed for every last dime.
Well, it is a Blumhouse production.
Yeah,
I
so
know.
it's a
I know.
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse is so frustrating to me
Yeah.
because this was a really smart script, and the gal that wrote this is working on, I think, the sequel right now.
That's
And I'm like,
encouraging.
let's not tie her up in Megan. Let's give her a chance to write another really cool, different movie.
Yeah.
But and then they will put out the worst schlock and follow it with something amazing. I'm like, what is the quality control like at Blumhouse?
I feel like no. I feel like none. There are many Blumhouse films where I'm like, did Jason just like even stick his head in the edit room ever? Did anyone just go, let's just watch it once? Just once before it goes to theaters.
No time.
Probably not. Nope.
Off the line.
Well, cool. Is that streaming now, or
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
still a
Well,
rental?
it's
Or?
at the. Maybe I should have just gone to theater to watch it price level.
Oh,
But yeah, it's out there, $20 or whatever.
But if you jam pack a bunch of human beings into the room and make them each pay a percentage, then it'll be totally worth it.
wow. All right then. Okay. Well, how about we take a little break, guys?
Yep.
And when we come back, we're talking stop motion films.
Hope I don't miss work this Christmas.
Yeah, how will you pay for things like food, electricity?
Dental bills.
Gadzooks! You need a backup plan. That's why we have Affleck.
So I'll have cash to help pay bills.
Right, but what if you're still not better by Christmas?
Affleck, we've got you under our wing.
Rudolph's better. But now Blitzen's sick.
And we're back. Okay, guys, this was my subgenre pick, and the idea was it had to be a film that had a significant stop motion segment. I'm giving myself 10 minutes. Thank you, Eric.
Uh-huh.
With that in mind, I chose Jason and the Argonauts.
Now, from the makers of Sinbad, Columbia Pictures presents Jason and the Argonauts. The mightiest band of warriors the world has ever known.
Turn back, Jason! We're trapped!
Sailing to the ends of the earth, battling against an incredible number of obstacles.
Where will you find this miracle? I have heard there is a tree at the end of the world, with a fleece of gold hanging in its branches.
In search of the fabulous magic golden fleece, Jason and the Argonauts, caught in the clutches of the towering bronze giant Talos, battered by treacherous falling rocks, taming vulturous harpies, facing the dreaded seven-headed Hydra, battling the merciless army of skeletons. Jason and the Argonauts, the classic story of Jason, a man who challenged the gods. Medea, a temple dancer who betrayed a kingdom for love. The Argonauts, the mightiest band of warriors the world has ever known. Jason and the Argonauts, a classic adventure story, brought to the screen through the incredible special effects magic of Dinorama. Jason and the Argonauts, the search that became a legend.
Oh, cool.
1963. This might as well have been a first viewing for me because the last time I saw this, I was 8 years old. I remember it very well, but I didn't remember a lot of the film. Spoiler, it's really good.
Aww.
So, the budget of $1 million, box office of $2.1 million.
Oh, not like a huge splash, but
No. Rotten Tomatoes critics give it 89%. The audience gives it 79%.
Huh.
It was directed by Don Chaffee, who has 90 credits, mostly TV, but he also directed Pete's Dragon, 1 Million Years BC, and The Creature the World Forgot.
Nice.
That sounds awesome.
Yes. It was written by Jan Reed, who wrote just a ton of television from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, but also written by Beverly Cross. He wrote Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger and Clash of the Titans, as well as this one. So you can see there is a strong line through these films. Starring Todd Armstrong, 16 credits, including episodes of Gunsmoke, Hawaii Five-0. He was also in King Rat, The Silencers, and an episode of Greatest American Hero.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to have that song in my head. Thanks, man.
Also stars Honor Blackman as Hera, 115 credits, including To the Devil a Daughter, Dr. Terrible's House of Horrible, and mostly known as Pussy Galore in Goldfinger. And Neil McGuinness, who plays Zeus, 90 credits, including Island of Terror, The Devil's Agent, and Krakatoa, East of Java.
I used to use that at Suncoast for, here's the movie you guys need to find in training.
Okay, you guys have both seen this film.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, no, I have not.
You'd love this.
Aw.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jason, who is funded by King Pelias, puts together a group of men who will sail with him across the world to find the legendary Golden Fleece. His whole point of doing this is he wants to use it to overthrow King Pelias. He doesn't realize that King Pelias has funded his search and is hoping that he will die on the way.
That's such a Greek tale.
Yes. In order to do this, he has set up this huge games that will pit man against man so he can find the best men to help him do this. And his crew includes, and I love this, Hercules.
Oh,
Sure.
nice.
The best part is Hercules shows up in this movie and he does not look at all like the Italian Hercules strongman. He's got a bit of a belly on him. And he's just a big, hairy dude. He's super strong still. I just love that he's like, why would I work out? I'm so strong.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
But also on his crew is a saboteur, Acastus, who is the son of Pelias, and he is there to make sure that Jason fails in this task. The reason, of course, is 20 years earlier, Pelias overthrew the king and killed Jason's mother, but he did it in the temple of Hera, and because her temple was profaned, Hera has named herself Jason's protector. So there is a number of just amazing stop-motion scenes in this. The first happens when the Argonauts, they're called the Argonauts because their boat is the Argos, or the Argo. It's named after Argus, the builder. We following all this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Argonauts, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They stop on an island that is filled with treasure, but they are warned to take only provisions. But of course, fucking Hercules, he
Can't help
finds
himself.
this tie tack that's the size of a javelin, and he's like, hey, I have to have this. Surely they won't miss this. And of course, once he does that, there's this gigantic statue that is guarding the treasure, and it comes to life and attacks. And it is an awesome scene of these tiny humans trying to fend off a 50-foot tall stone warrior. Jason finally is able to stop him by removing a plug from its ankle and letting its ichor drain out.
Wow. Nice.
It's surprisingly gruesome.
Oh,
I really loved it. The next great scene is when they have to help a blind man who is being tormented by harpies. Harpies are kind of devil women with huge bat wings. It is another amazing scene, just gorgeous, because in this scene, the wings are flapping, they're flying, there's a guy trying to fight them off, and then, of course, Jason's men come and they take care of him. They catch him in a big net. And then there is another really great scene when they attempt to take the fleece, but have to face the Hydra, which is a dragon with 7 heads. All of these scenes just look amazing, and it helps that it's got like the big 1960s Technicolor and everything. And everything looks too real, if that makes sense. Hyper realistic. It's really cool. And of course, the final scene is probably the one that everyone has seen, which is after defeating the Hydra, the king spreads the Hydra's teeth on the ground, and they suddenly explode into skeleton warriors. And this is the one where you see all of these men versus skeletons in a sword fight. It's so fantastic. The movie holds up really well, but this scene in particular holds up really well, and I will get to that with the trivia. The interesting thing about this, and I didn't remember this as a kid, and I didn't quite understand it as an adult, but the movie kind of ends halfway through the actual story of Jason and the Golden Fleece. He gets the fleece, and then he is now going to start his journey back, and that's where the movie ends. And I was like, oh, okay, obviously a sequel is supposed to be happening here, but it did not ever happen. I believe that is probably because Medea, who was the wife of the king who had the Golden Fleece, she turns out to be a full-fledged witch in the actual legend. And after helping Jason just drops her off on an island and was like, fuck you. And that probably audience would have been like, well, that wasn't very nice. So yeah, loved this movie. Cannot recommend it enough. I have some cool trivia here. It took Ray Harryhausen 4 months to produce the skeleton scene at the end. It runs just under 3 minutes.
Damn.
Wow.
What an artist.
Yeah, the live action work had been done a year before in Italy, with the actors doing a kind of shadow boxing against imaginary opponents. So Harryhausen then had to animate 7 skeletons, with each one having 5 appendages. That meant he had 35 different things to move for each frame of film. In addition, he had to make the skeleton's movements fit in with the actors' movements so that all 10 could be seen hacking away at each other with their swords. Sometimes he only managed to do 13 or 14 frames a day. So movies are shown at 24 frames per second, so he would get about a half second of footage in a day.
Oh my God.
I know. Insane. Remember I was telling you about the ichor coming out of the stone ankle. It is also stop motion. It is red cellophane animated by Harryhausen to look like flowing blood.
Whoa.
I mean, you got to see this movie again just to see this stuff. I just watched it. I had popcorn. I had a little truffle salt on the popcorn. I went through about 14 Coke Zeros. I just watched this like a little kid going, this movie is so good.
Aw.
Presumably in order to capitalize on the success of the 7th Voyage of Sinbad, which predates this film by 5 years, looks like. Harryhausen originally conceived of the film as Sinbad in the Age of Muses. The story would still have been set in ancient Greece and would have involved Sinbad joining Jason in the search for the Golden Fleece. And that's what's really interesting about this. Written and directed by the people I had mentioned earlier, but Harryhausen came up with the idea. And that's kind of how it worked with a lot of his films, because he was the stop motion guy. He was like, well, what if you wanted to do this? And they were like, okay, we'll write a movie about that. So this one I love. At the 1992 Academy Awards, in honoring Ray Harryhausen with a Lifetime Achievement Award, actor Tom Hanks says, some people say Casablanca or Citizen Kane. I say Jason and the Argonauts is the greatest film ever made.
Aww.
Excellent.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. I'm blown away. And I found this on Tubi, and then, of course, it auto-played right into the 7th Voyage of Sinbad, which I watched and loved also.
Nice.
And then I found out there was like a early 80s, or maybe it was late 70s sequel to 7th Voyage of Sinbad. And I think what was going on with the Sinbad movies were doing very well, and this one did not do well. So the sequel was just kind of like, because it was Harryhausen, he was kind of like, I've got something that's going on right now, so I'm not going to work that hard for another thing that's not going to do that well. Really interesting parallels to Clash of the Titans in this, which was Harryhausen's film that he actually had control of, in that the gods are portrayed on Mount Olympus looking down on the mortals, in this pool of water. But there's also these chess pieces of all the players in the game that they're moving around. And I was like, wow, he really came back to this kind of thing hard in Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, because in my head, I can picture that scene from Clash.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's of course, the skeleton scene is what sticks in my head from Jason.
I have to admit, I loved it, but it's one of those scenes that I remember well, and you see that in all sorts of movies, things when they're talking about it. The other scenes I thought were way cooler. The Hydra scene was really awesome. The Harpy scene was really great, and the Stone Guardian was amazing.
That sounds so good.
I win.
He is the master.
It's a good revisiting, it sounds like.
Vanessa, what did you pick?
Well, as soon as you talked about stop motion animation for at least one scene, I knew exactly what I was going to pick. So I went with one of my favorite movies, Better Off Dead.
Does it ever feel like everyone's got more going than you do?
Oops.
That everyone is smart.
So you're Al Myers' kid?
Yes, I am.
You look pretty stupid to me.
Thank you.
You say the best skier in town just ran off with your girlfriend? Even your younger brother does better than you do? And that nobody even cares?
Seth broke up with me.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, you might be right. But remember one thing.
I haven't even been to New York City.
Nobody was ever better off dead.
The truth is, I could outski you any day of the week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you want a race? I'll take you on any day, sucker.
Go that way, really fast. If something gets in your way, turn.
All you need is guts.
All right! Now turn!
I'm gonna race, I'm gonna lose, and I'm gonna die, in that order.
Go!
And you'll never doubt yourself again.
He's skiing on one ski!
Better off dead.
And that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
An abnormal look at a normal teenager.
Does have stop motion.
We're big fans.
Yeah.
It's
it's great.
so good. I know I've mentioned it before. We've all talked about it a little bit here and there, but it was really fun to kind of do a deeper dive on this. Came out in 1985. Rotten Tomatoes score of 77 from critics, 87 from audience. Budget of $3.5 million and box office of $10.3 million. It was a success. Written and directed by Savage Steve Holland. 44 credits, including Better Off Dead and One Crazy Summer. But then he segued pretty hard into TV. He's since worked on things like Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, Encyclopedia Brown, the Jonas, one of the Jonas things, Zeke and Luther. He wrote 16 episodes of Eek the Cat, Sabrina the Animated Series he worked on, Fairly Odd Christmas. So he actually carries his humor on, I think, through writing at least, in some of these other interesting little animations. Starring John Cusack, 88 credits. This is his fifth film after Sure Thing and 16 Candles. He went on to do, of course, Stand By Me, Say Anything, Gross Point Blank, Con Air, High Fidelity, and a lot of stuff that we will not talk about. Although he was in 8 episodes of Utopia, and that was kind of nice to see. Diane Franklin is in this, 47 credits, including Amityville 2, The Possession, which if you stay tuned, you will be able to catch on some kind of podcast that might be associated with ours. Also in the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as Princess Joanna, and of course Yuji Okumoto, 99 credits, including Real Genius, Karate Kid Part 2, Cobra Kai, and of course The Paper Tigers, which is how I know him.
Nice.
God, when I worked with him, I did not know he was in this film, and then later, after I was we're not working with him anymore, I kicked myself endlessly that I didn't ask him for an autograph or talk to him about it. It's fine. He's incredible. Anyway, also Curtis Armstrong from Revenge of the Nerds, Vincent Schiavelli, who plays the subway ghost in Ghost, David Ogden Stiers, who plays Major Charles Winchester in MASH TV show, as well as Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast. So a lot of familiar faces. The story follows Lane Meyer, who is desperately in love with his girlfriend, Beth. His whole world revolves around her, and we open into a scene of his bedroom decorated and with just kind of plastered with photos of her. He then goes to retrieve some clothing, and every single one of his hangers has her face in a picture format cut out and stuck on it, so he can see just what his shirt will look like on her. He sleeps with a framed photo of her under his pillow. He cannot live, breathe, do anything without her. However, Beth has other plans. She decides pretty early in the movie that she's going to break up with Lane after tryouts for the prestigious school ski team. Roy, the popular high school kid, I know. Roy, the popular high school kid who runs the ski team, has a thing for Beth, and basically he leaves the timer running during Lane's trial to make sure that he doesn't qualify. So right afterwards, Beth dumps him because it's basically better for her to date a popular, attractive guy who's talented. And that's exactly what she says. This film is very upfront and it does not have anything behind a curtain in any way. Lane falls into a deep depression, decides to end everything. So he attempts to commit suicide, but is both thwarted and helped by strange friends and family around him. His mom, who cooks weird alien-looking food that sometimes walks off the table, is a starring character. She accidentally pushes him over and right when he's about to hang himself and decides he doesn't want to hang himself, she opens up a door that pushes him off, and he is desperately clinging to life and the rope as she vacuums around him. His best friend, who's desperate for drugs, so much so that he resorts to snorting Jell-O and snow, is trying to talk him off the ledge. His dad, who is in a battle against the paperboy who's broken all of the glass in his garage, is trying to make sure Lane doesn't fall deep into drugs. And his little brother, who's a genius obsessed with sending away for things advertised on the back of cereal boxes, who basically does not say a single word in the whole film and is kind of like what Lane should be. He's just always cooler, always smarter, always more on top of it, and is like 8. While Lane tries to kill himself, he almost lets slip past the beautiful foreign exchange student across the street who is stuck with a horrible family and needing a friend and a confidant. Their paths cross and they find a way to help one another. Will Lane beat Roy in the K-12 ski challenge and win Beth back? Will he figure out that the sexy French Monique is actually a much better match, like significantly? Will he win a race against the Asian brothers who only learned English through the wide world of sports? And will the paperboy ever get his $2? Stay tuned to see. This film, I love it. I cannot say enough good things about it. The sense of humor is incredible, and every time I watch it, there's something else that stands out to me. It's just going a million miles a minute. It's so weird. It's so strange, but absolutely incredible. A little bit of trivia. People protested the original tagline, which was, "Sometimes you're better off dead." And it was changed to, "Relax, you're never better off dead," which is a terrible tagline. Henry Winkler was instrumental in getting the film made. In the early 1980s, Savage Steve Holland's short film, My 11-Year-Old Birthday Party, played at an LA film festival. Winkler saw the film, took a liking to Holland, and at his suggestion, got him hooked up with John Cusack. Then, according to Savage Steve Holland, the film that he made was mostly autobiographical. Holland really was suicidal in high school when his girlfriend left him for the captain of the ski team. Also, he really did have a paperboy named Johnny Gasparini who would harass him for $2. According to Holland, when the film came out, the ex-girlfriend contacted him and apologized. Steve, instead of his suicide attempt, I went into the garage and put on an extension cord around on a pipe, and I'm on a garbage can, and I'm thinking, should I do this? Maybe this isn't a good idea. Anyway, it was a plastic garbage can, and my weight just crashed through it, and I fell through, and the pipe broke, and it started pouring water everywhere, and I'm basically in a garbage can drowning, and my mom comes out and starts yelling at me for breaking the pipe. Which is what any mom would do. So I started writing down stupid ways to kill yourself and that you could fail at it. And that became a sort of diary, which became Better Off Dead. He also based the mom very heavily off of his mom, who also gave him TV dinners as I believe, birthday present one year. Steve also stated in an interview that John Cusack hated the movie and walked out of the film after 20 minutes during a special screening prior to the star's production on One Crazy Summer. Holland said the next morning, Cusack basically walked up to me and was like, "You know, you tricked me. Better Off Dead was the worst thing I've ever seen. I'll never trust you as a director ever again, and don't ever speak to me." He was really upset and said, I said, "What happened? What's wrong?" And then he said that I sucked and it was the worst thing he'd ever seen, and that I'd used him and made a total fool out of him and all this other stuff. It was so out of left field that I was just floored. Cusack then completed principal photography on One Crazy Summer due to contractual obligation, but if it had not been for that, Cusack would likely have not done a second film with him.
Wow.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, Cusack was an ass.
Do you know if he still holds that
I
dumb
believe
opinion?
Cusack, I don't know what Cusack thinks, but I do know he's apparently mellowed out significantly because he was like that for a lot of these early
He was a
movies.
massive alcoholic back then.
Oh, jeez. At that age? Jeez. Aaron Dozier who plays like the cool ski captain guy, insulted Steve before his audition for the role. He came in and said, "I don't know who Savage Steve was at first," Dozier told Movie Phone. "I looked at one guy and said, 'Who's the chubby kid?' Turns out he's the director." Holland remembers Dozier interrupting him as he watched the dailies. And all of a sudden, he was like, this pompous jerk is coming in and said, "Who's the fat surfer?" And I'm like, "Wow, who's this?" And they say, "Savage. This is the guy who's trying out for Roy." And he's like, "Man, you got the part. You're perfect." Last but not least, Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs down.
What was the stop motion part of this?
Oh, the hamburger. Lane Meyer does, in fact, does 1 day of work at a burger joint, and he has these sort of fantastical moments where he falls into animation, or in this case, a stop-motion burger scene where he creates a Frankenstein-ish burger that comes to life and dances around with some fries, and
it's a cool scene.
It's
very funny.
a weird fucking moment, but so good.
First of all, the fact that you chose a comedy and that you liked this comedy is so strange to me.
Yeah, floored me when you said it was one of your favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
What?
It has been for a long time, yeah.
Because it's not smart humor. It's quite wacky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well.
There's something about like the weirdness of it that I truly enjoy, because it's not like a joke that's obvious. It's just there's all these strange, weird moments. That one of my favorite jokes in the film is when he tries to jump off a bridge and he ends up in a garbage truck, and he just sort of sits there in the truck and lets it drive him home. And there are 2 guys standing on a bridge and kind of see him go past. These 2 black dudes, and they look at each other and they go, "Man, why somebody got the wrong way a perfectly good white boy like that?" And it's just one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's just, there's just so many great moments in this.
I'm really surprised at Cusack's response to it.
Yeah.
Because this film kind of put his particular style of everyman,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
together, right?
If you look at a lot of his catalog, that weird quirkiness started here.
Absolutely.
He had to have had such a big ego to think, I look silly in this movie, to think I'm not cool immediately. But you still have to read the script. I know for Say Anything, he was so pissed at having to hold that boombox, and he was basically sitting there chewing bubble gum and being a dick about it. And that's why it's so late in the night when you see that scene. It's like almost dark out when you've got that moment, that romantic moment that every girl fell in love with John Cusack over. He hated it and wanted to leave.
So basically, you're saying when John Cusack is an alcoholic and was drinking heavily, his taste was shit.
Yeah, he really didn't have a grasp on why people were into him.
Oh no,
which was the moment of vulnerability that he always portrayed. Yeah. I might even like One Crazy Summer better than this movie, just because it is even wackier.
I have not seen it. I've been kind of saving it for a rainy day.
Oh, sure.
But he plays pretty much the exact same character, and he is an animator in this, or a cartoonist, and so there's a lot of cartoon scenes where he's interacting with a cartoon.
Excellent.
And then don't sleep on Savage Steve's third movie, How I Got Into College, which was in the late or maybe early 90s. Also very wacky, but a huge flop, and I think that they never gave him another thing to direct after that.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense why he ended up in like children's TV, essentially. But
yeah, weird and wacky.
Just really unfortunate because he's got such a specific, wonderful style.
Yes. Yeah. Eric, you got a lot to live up to after these two movies.
Well, as I often say, I did something completely different.
You always do. You got to be the weird one.
10 minutes on the buzzer.
All righty. I did a film from 2015 called Anomalisa.
What is it to be human? What is it to ache? What is it to be alive? Each person you speak to has had a day. Some of the days have been good, some bad. Each person you speak to has had a childhood. Each has a body. Each body has aches. Look for what is special about each individual. Focus on that. Remember, there is someone out there for everyone. I think you're extraordinary.
Why?
I don't know yet. It's just obvious to me that you are. Our time is limited, we forget that.
Sorry, I grabbed your hand.
It's okay.
It's a reflex. But I don't like to fly.
I said it's okay. You can let go now, though.
This has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 91 critics, 71 from the audience, budget of $8 million, and a box office of 3.4.
Oh.
Directed by Duke Johnson. He's the primary animator. He made a movie called Mary Shelley's Frankenhole.
Oh.
And he also did the Community 2 stop motion episode, or Communities 2 stop motion episodes.
Oh.
Like the Christmas one and the other one. And he also worked on the wonderfully subversive Moral Oral.
Yes.
Have you ever seen Moral Oral? It's absolutely savages religion.
Oh,
it's
man.
Very funny. And the other director was, guy kind of known for quirky shit, Charlie Kaufman.
Of course.
Oh, man.
For my thinking of Ending Things and Being John Malkovich and just The Amazing Adaptation, which I think is a really underrated film from him. Also writer, Charlie Kaufman, writer of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Confession of a Dangerous Mind, and the two movies I just mentioned. So if you've seen Charlie Kaufman movies, you know he's a little quirky. This movie doesn't have a lot of Charlie Kaufman in it, other than the writing is very good. There are 3 actors in the film. There's David Thewlis, who you might know from Big Mouth as the Shame Wizard.
Oh.
He's also in I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and he plays, I think it's pronounced Ares from Justice League, Ares. Fargo TV show, all the Harry Potter movie.
Ares.
Ares. And he played Remus Lupin in the Harry Potter and was in the Big Lebowski. 102 credits. A frequent discussant on this show, Jennifer Jason Leigh from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Shortcuts, Fargo, Last Exit to Brooklyn, which is one of the most depressing films I've ever watched. The Hitcher and ABC After School Special.
Oh.
She has 107 credits. And every other voice in the movie, which gets very confusing at times, is done by Tom Noonan.
Oh.
Who's 12 Monkeys TV and every other TV show. Bullet in the Brain short film, which I think showed at MIF years ago, which is a fantastic short. RoboCop 2. And he was Frankenstein's monster in Monster Squad. Also appeared in Wolfen, which Kelly talked about at one point on the show. That's it. That's all the actors involved. It's all voiceover. This entire movie is stop motion.
Oh, cool.
There is no real people in this one. The black screen, it starts with a black screen with all these interesting voices and stuff and the sound effects combining and coming together. And then you introduce to the characters. They're very unique looking stop motion characters. A little unnerving in one of the design things, where they made a mouth plate for everybody. So there's lines, like it looks like everyone's wearing glasses without lenses, because there's lines from the eye to the ear where they would interchange these mouth plates.
Interesting.
So that's a little weird, takes some getting used to. Movie takes place in Cincinnati. And of course, if Steve Lang ever listens to us, he talks a lot about Cincinnati chili, which the cab driver tells him he's got to try it. Which is basically like chili on spaghetti and chocolate or some shit. I don't know.
Whoa.
The movie is the story of the banality of life. And it does a great job of setting that up. I've landed in the thing, so I call my wife. I've going through the airport, found a cab. Cab driver is a little annoying talking to me. I've got to my hotel. I mean, it is all real. If you saw Scenes of a Marriage or some of the movies like that, and your goal is, I want the most realistic movies can be, this may be stop motion, but Jesus, it is life real. Took me a little while to realize the movie is shot in 2015, but it takes place in 2005. Because I'm going, well, there's no phones. Nobody's using phone, and people are using phone books. So I had to check on that. I think that's done for a reason. I mean, there's still phones, but there's no smartphones. So it is a little really weird scene. He turns on the hotel TV and is watching a black and white movie, but the black and white people are the same style as that. So it's like, oh, that's weird. He reaches out to an ex who lives in the city and says he kind of still loves her. So they go on a get together in a hotel bar, and it's horribly uncomfortable, and they really don't have anything in common anymore. And she's pissed about him calling her because she said, I didn't leave bed for a year getting over you. And I'm like, okay. He is married with a kid. Cab driver said, oh, a toy store? You're looking for a toy store? Well, there's one nearby you that's open 24 hours a day. I'm like, I think that's the kind of toys he wants, but he goes there and ends up buying a toy for his kid.
Oh my God.
Then this is the first R-rated animated film to be nominated for Best Animated Feature, and as Puppet Penis.
Oh man.
And, the guy is a famous speaker, so he's gone there to speak at a conference, and he's, for some reason, goes out knocking on people's doors looking for something and runs into 2 women who just go nuts over him. They're like, oh my God, we love you. One of them is Jennifer Jason Leigh. Well, the other is Tom Noonan, as in every other woman who's been in the movie.
Oh my God.
So when he called his wife initially, I thought he was gay, and then, because it's Tom Noonan's voice. It's a very male sounding voice.
Oh, he doesn't even do this?
A little bit. but not much.
Oh my God.
So it's kind of interesting. But I'm going to tell you, this is incredibly well written. It's very interesting. The acting is wildly well done, considering it's coming through puppets. The puppet sex, not like Team America. It is such, it's even uncomfortable to talk about. It's shot so intimately and so real feeling of two people who've never gotten together, just sort of having sex for the first time and apologizing if they do something. Like, I feel uncomfortable watching this, and it's just puppets.
Oh my God.
So the movie is incredibly well done. And it's a slice of life film. He sort of goes through some stuff, but by the end, he's resolved. He's not a complete dick. The tagline, welcome to the Kaufman surreal neo-realism tale in a dull world of sameness. I can't imagine why this movie didn't do tons of box office. At one point, Lisa, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, sings a song to him that was supposed to be My Heart Will Go On, but they couldn't afford those rights. So it's Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which I think actually works a whole lot better than the other one would have, because it would have been way too on the nose for that scene to have her singing that. Mm. The sex shop that Michael goes to buy his kid a toy is called Dino's Toys. Dino is a producer of the film.
Oh, man.
The head of Starburns Industry, whatever, according to his bio, lives an active and varied sex life. So that's why he got the sex toy shop named after him. The first version of Anomalisa was actually a audio performance in LA called Theater of the Ear, which was just a sound play. There were not actors, there were not puppets, it was just audio. And somebody commissioned, said, hey, why don't you do this as a movie? And they said, I guess. They actually, and this is a little annoying, they did it was still in a time you could get away with doing big budget Kickstarter. So part of the movie was funded by Kickstarter. I was like, and let's see. Oh, one more interesting thing. The puppets were created with 3D printers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there's 18 Michaels and 6 Lisas were made for the movie. He's in it by far the most, but it was a good movie.
This was 7 years ago?
Yeah, 2015.
Wonder how good the 3D printing things were back then. How long it took to print.
Yeah, well, they're covered with something. So I think they 3D printed it and then covered it with a felt or some kind of a material.
Okay, yeah.
At one point, he has a nightmare. There's a Charlie Kaufman dream in the movie that's very weird. But at one point, he pulls his face off, the lower half of his face. You can see the mechanics inside. And that looked like something that was 3D printed, that gray kind of color that it has. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's well done. One of the main comparisons I read was Lost in Translation, which I found a lot more boring than this movie. I thought Lost in Translation, although incredible acted by the two leads, of course, was just sort of there. If you really love Lost in Translation, you're probably going to really like this film.
Oh, what a strange sounding film.
No shit.
And how was this just in your research for stop motion? You came across this and decided you were going to do it?
Yep. Popped up, thought, sure, what the hell? Charlie Kaufman, he's a weird motherfucker. And I was expecting a lot more weirdness till I started watching going, whoa, this is like real.
That sounds very unenjoyable to me. But I also don't even like watching people kiss on screen, so I don't know if I can.
It was so weirdly uncomfortable.
That sounds so bizarre. Painful.
Well, okay. Eric, it is your choice for the next subgenre.
Right. Please be nice.
Okay, we're going to dip in a little bit to our listener who has been over time just doing the nice monthly deposit for us. And Jason Weiss, and I asked him, hey, you've been doing this a while. Is there something you'd like us to talk about? And he said, yes. His idea is a movie that's decent, but the music and soundtrack are so good that it enhances the enjoyment of the film.
Huh?
So if it had a different score or a different group of songs, it'd be just a mediocre movie at best.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is going to be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a fun one.
I've got some ideas. Obviously, I can't use Trick or Treat or The Wraith since I've spoken about those over and over again.
Oh, that's too bad. That's a good point. Yeah, you have done that.
But okay, I like that idea. And also, thank you very much, Jason, for donating so regularly. If you, if somebody wants to take advantage of the value for value thing that we are doing here, Eric, how would they do that?
There's all kinds of fun ways you can do that. You can donate through Buy Us a Coffee still, or you can go to our website and there's a direct PayPal, or you can share our stuff. Tell people we're good. Bring it on. Tell all these people that we enjoy our memes so much, but don't listen to our show. Hey guys, you should also listen to the podcast. The memes are fun and all that, but there's a reason they're here. Check it out. So
cool. You can also drop us a message on the Strange Eons Radio hotline, which is 253-237-4266.
Empire. Sorry, just.
Okay. Anything else, guys? Vanessa, I know you're just dying to get your TV unpacked.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, I've just, all I can see are boxes, even when I close my eyes, boxes. So this is a nice change of pace for me. And yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, for listening, and being a part of the Value for Value.
Yes, big thanks. All right, we will be back in 7 short days, and we are going to be talking about movies that are okay, but made better by their soundtrack.
There you go.
Gonna have to come up with a better title for that one.
Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
That sounds very unenjoyable to me.